3 games in the NHL tonight. The featured game, I don't think there's any doubt, is in Winnipeg, where the Jets are home to the Detroit Red Wings. And joining us to talk about it is Hustler from Winnipeg Sports Talk. Huss, great to chat with you, my friend, amigo. How revved is the town for this one tonight, the Slurpee capital, Jets and Wings?
What's up, Roddy? Happy holidays to you and all of your viewers and listeners. Listen, the momentum took a bit of a hit with the overtime loss to the Montreal Canadiens on Monday. But I think overall, if you talk to the average Winnipeg Jet fan right now on the streets or at your local watering hole or at the rink, people are really excited about what this team has accomplished through 30 games. And 18-9-3, it's their second best start through 30 games ever. Last year, of course, they were 29-1 at this point. Things sort of fell off the rails, but this is just such a different team. The way they've been winning games has been so much different that I think there's a real confidence that the Winnipeg Jets will keep pushing forward, keep battling with the likes of Dallas and Colorado in that top 3 in the Central Division. And we'll get ready for some whiteouts and some street parties coming up in the fall. As far as this game tonight, it's an interesting one. I think you're going to see a desperate Wings team coming in. They've only won once in their last 7 games. They've lost 3 games in a row. And meanwhile, the Jets have established sort of a level of expectation and consistency, especially at 5-on-5, that will give the fans a hope that they'll be walking out with 2 points tonight. So should be a good one. Obviously, the Wings have shaken up in goal right now. They had to sign Hutch yesterday, former Jet Michael Hutchinson. We expect James Reimer to be the guy tonight for Detroit, playing in his home province. And we'll get to see Pat Kane for the first time, and what should be weird seeing him in the red and white of the winged wheel as opposed to his entire career in Chicago and, of course, that stint last year with the New York Rangers.
A wonderful preview right there. And my guy Jeff in Estevan wrote in earlier, and he said, how many wins did the Wings have since Kane showed up? And I'm like, not a lot. You said it. They're riding a 3-game losing streak, and they've slipped out of a playoff spot. So all it does is set up a really good hockey game tonight. I'll take any questions from the crowd for Hustler. John Ohm in Winnipeg wants to know what you think's wrong with the Jets' power play. Can you get that working, Huss?
Well, it's funny, Rod, and that's, again, goes back to where the team is, how they've won their games, and why I think there's a real confidence that things can, if anything, get better. The power play just hasn't been good enough this year, and they've gone through a couple extended droughts with the man advantage, and this is one of those right now. Now, they did make a change this morning in the morning skate, and this one might surprise some people, and that Cole Perfetti is so talented, and he's showed so much of what he brings to the table this year. He's actually moving off the first power play, and they're moving in Alex Iafallo. I really think that this is based around one thing, and that is making life more difficult for opposition goaltenders when the Jets have the power play. When the Jets broke a slump earlier this season against the Vegas Golden Knights, it was Alex Iafallo right in front of the net that ended up being the catalyst to the Jets getting a dirty one and then moving forward. That is absolutely one of Rick Bowness's biggest concerns right now with his team. I mean, he said after the game against Montreal, he said, you know what, our structure is great. At 5-on-5, we continue to play right up there with the best teams in the league, but special teams has hurt the club. So to John's question, there will be a switch tonight. Perfetti and Iafallo switching units. I expect that James Reimer is going to see a lot of number 9 in front of him tonight when the Jets have power play opportunities. And from a Winnipeg standpoint, hopefully they can get one, because in this situation earlier, when they got one, they went on a little bit of a run, and they could really use that right now. It's been the one thing that's really been missing from the Jets attack.
Randy in Winnipeg writes it, and he says, the PK needs to be better, too. You got to love the 1 million coaches you got over there in Manitoba and the millions in the Jets nation. Yeah. But please tell me, Huss, you're not one of the guys saying, what do they need to get before the trade deadline? What do we need? Because I think you've gone through enough change. You got your big guns signed. Why introduce any drama or disrupt the chemistry right now? That's what I think. Are you championing that they need to do something? Tweaks?
No, listen, I think, even if I was, what's the point? We've seen Kevin Cheveldayoff be amongst the most patient general managers in the National Hockey League for a number of years. And to be honest, even Chevy's biggest critics have to be giving him a whole lot of credit for what this team looks like right now. I mean, the game on Saturday, Rod, against the Avalanche, a battle for first place. The first 5 goal scorers in that game were Nino Niederreiter, Alex Iafallo, Vlad Nemetsnikov, and Gabriel Velarde with 2. All players that Cheveldayoff had acquired either at the deadline or in the offseason, and for the deadline acquisitions, re-signed both of them. He legitimately is a candidate for the general manager of the year right now if the team continues to play at that level that they've been. Now, look, come around the deadline, will the Jets be interested in bolstering their lineup? Absolutely. I think that goes without saying. Most contending teams do. But there is no urgency whatsoever. And if anything, the guys that are playing right now for the Jets deserve to stay in the lineup. I think big picture, would they love to add a top 4 defenseman on the right side to bolster that blue line? Yes. But the level of desperation for Winnipeg that I think a lot of people thought at the beginning of the season to add that player is not there right now, with a huge bounce back season for Neil Pionk. Nate Schmidt and Dylan Sandberg have been defensively right at the top of the list for NHL pairings this year when it comes to goals against in that third pairing, and they haven't had any injuries. So it's been tough to get Logan Stanley and Declan Chisholm into the lineup. Oh, and don't forget, Ville Heinola is skating again, and he'll be back at some point in the new year. So there's no level of urgency to make any of those trades, and that's a good position for Cheveldayoff to be in. But if you'd ask me if they will make some moves before they blow the whistle on trade deadline day, for sure there'll be some tweaking to the roster. But I think if anything, they would look, there are 2 areas that I think big picture they'd look at: a right shot defenseman for preferably into the top 4, and potentially another player that could come in, play center, 2C, 3C. But as I said, things are going well for the Winnipeg Jets right now. So that is not something we're banging the drum on Winnipeg Sports Talk every day. I can tell you that.
Good to hear. I cannot let you go without a Chiefs Kingdom comment. We got about a minute left. Are you thinking Patrick Mahomes is a crybaby? What was your take on the call on Kadarius Toney and the loss to the Bills 2 weeks ago?
No, listen, I don't think that. And there's a lot of haters out there that begrudge success and greatness, and they're looking to take a shot at the man. I don't blame him for being as pissed off as he was, Rod. That is a call that had been called 5 times in 3 seasons, and it had been happening all game. So, without a warning, without it being called earlier, to decide to do that at that point justifiably ticked him off and Andy Reid. It has been quite funny, though, to see in the aftermath of that how much it has been called in last week in the NFL. Listen, I'm not a guy that sits here and beats up on the refs. They've got the toughest job in sports. The NFL should go to full-time officials, though I will say that. But it was, listen, Mahomes was choked for a number of reasons. He couldn't believe they'd never had that called against them in his entire career. Andy Reid as well. So I understood it. And I understood why a lot of people that wanted to take shots at them took advantage of it for the way that he reacted to it. He apologized the next day. What didn't look good was how mad he was talking to Josh Allen as if Allen had anything to do with it. But what I think he's really mad about is the fact that Kadarius Toney can't catch, and a number of their other receivers have been letting them as much as they have all season long. But don't write out the Chiefs right now. I agree. It's the Niners and then everybody else. But if Patrick Mahomes is Patrick Mahomes come playoff time, there's still going to be a really, really tough out. They got the Raiders on Christmas Day to wrap up a 7th straight AFC West championship. And you will be hearing some noise from number 15 and the guys in red come playoff time. Mark my words on that.
Sounds good, sir. Merry Christmas. Keep killing it. Slay the day, Hustler. Thanks for the time today.
Have a great one, Rod. Thanks for having me.
Hustler Paterson from Winnipeg Sports Talk.